Welcome to the Inclusive Outdoor Play Master Plan presentation for Lincoln, Nebraska. Today we're going to share some general information about inclusive play, present a strategy proposed to bring more inclusive play to Lincoln, share a draft conceptual plan for an inclusive playground at Mahoney Park, and discuss funding strategies for achieving the inclusive play goals. Lincoln is home to 92 playgrounds located in neighborhood, community, and regional parks, as well as some unique playgrounds. The playgrounds in these parks are inspected daily and generally have a 25-year life cycle. Neighborhood parks are located throughout the community, generally one near the center of each square mile. The level of service for the city, the goal which the city strives for, is a neighborhood park within a 10-minute walk of each dwelling unit. Currently, the city meets that for about 85% of dwellings. Neighborhood parks are usually between 2 and 6 acres in size and are often located adjacent to an elementary school. The typical park program or included features is listed here. Neighborhood parks in new areas are constructed using impact fees collected at the time a building permit is taken out for a new home. Operation, maintenance, and inspection are all done by park staff or by city contractors for larger projects. This is paid for by the general revenue funds allocated to the Parks Department. When a playground reaches the end of its functional life, its refurbishment is paid for through Keno funds, general funds, or sometimes other grant fund sources. Parks keeps track of the age and condition of playgrounds and schedules that refurbishment, usually several years in advance. Community parks are larger, generally around 35 acres, with a service area of about 2-mile radius. They include all the programming of a neighborhood park with the addition of off-street parking, formal play fields, larger play courts, restrooms, usually an enclosed shelter that may be available for rentals, and sometimes a neighborhood swimming pool. While neighborhood parks are usually located in the center of a neighborhood, community parks are usually located with access to a major street. Community parks often serve as the neighborhood park for the dwellings nearby. Community parks have traditionally been constructed using bond funds, which must be approved through a vote of the people. However, impact fees may be used for the neighborhood park improvements benefiting that particular impact fee district. Operation, inspection, maintenance, and renovation are done similarly to neighborhood parks. Regional parks don't have a specific level of service or service area. They're usually constructed because of unique resources in the area and are meant to serve the larger community and even the region beyond Lincoln. There are only 4 regional parks in Lincoln: Pioneers Park, Antelope Park, Union Plaza, and Holmes Lake. They vary widely in size. Regional parks often serve a festival function and include space for that. They typically have parking associated, playgrounds, seating space, and restrooms, but many of the amenities are specific to the resources and programming of that particular park. These parks have been funded over the years through various means, but typically through bonds. Operation, inspection, and maintenance are similar to the other 2 types. Lincoln has several unique playgrounds, such as the Spray Ground at Trago Park, the Trolley at the Valentino's Idlewild Park, and the Discovery Playground at Union Plaza. These playgrounds require more intense maintenance and have more frequent renovation schedule. Moving from our general playground information to more specifically issues of inclusive play, I wanted to spend a little time explaining some terminology. We're going to talk about 3 different ways of looking at playground equipment: accessibility, adaptability, and inclusivity. Accessible play refers to the requirements of the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, of 1990. This requires that there be an accessible path to the playground, that the playground surface be accessible, and that 25% of the playground equipment be accessible. It primarily refers to the ability to move about and access equipment from a mobility device, but does not address disabilities that don't require mobility devices or the ability to actually use the equipment. Accessibility is an umbrella term. For something to be adaptive or inclusive, they must also be accessible. Adaptive play is equipment that is modified in order to allow use by a person with a specific disability. Examples would be adjusting the height of a play piece so that a wheelchair could be rolled closer, or an adaptable swing that helps users stay upright against gravity while being held into the swing. Adaptive equipment is typically meant to serve those who require the assistance and should not be used by those who are able to use standard equipment. Inclusive equipment is equipment designed to be used in different ways by different children so that all can enjoy to the best of their ability. The multi-bouncer in the bottom left corner is an example of a piece of equipment that a child can sit on, kneel on, or take a tummy position. The Unity swing is similar. These allow children of all abilities to play together on the same piece of equipment. Over the past decades, Lincoln has been striving to be more inclusive in its playground design. Currently, as new playgrounds are constructed or older playgrounds are renovated, increased attention is given to playground surfacing and access paths. Inclusive play pieces such as Unity swings are being incorporated into many playgrounds. Historically, Antelope Park Playground has been the community's accessible playground. This site is central in location, making it within reach of most. It includes many of the support features desired: accessible restrooms, shelters, shade, drinking fountains, and it has ample parking and is on the trail and transit routes. With over 90 public playgrounds in our system, safety is key. The common theme with all new playgrounds is that they are placed on top of safety surfacing. Our surface type is interlocking rubber tiles. These tiles are easy to install and are ADA accessible, and most important, durable. When we talk about play equipment geared towards different age groups, it really has more to do with the fall height and challenge level of activities. This is a typical standard across the board for all commercial playground equipment brought forth by the public playground safety standards. Play structures and equipment are meant to challenge users to reach just beyond their limitations without posing serious risk of safety. For example, Village Meadows Playground, located in Southeast Lincoln, is suitable for ages 2 to 5. It is lower to the ground than a typical structure and is scaled down to the size range of a typical 2 to 5-year-old with a shorter slide. Climbing elements are closer together and the overall footprint is smaller. When you move to Timber Valley Park in Southwest Lincoln, we have some different equipment that is geared towards older kids in the 5 to 12 age range. Taller slides, spinning, and challenging climbing elements that require more coordination than younger children might not be able to use successfully without significantly more risk. Ages 2 to 12, like at Antelope Park South, located in Southeast Central Lincoln, is an example of a play system with challenge, but is lower to the ground as a happy medium between the 2 to 5 and 5 to 12 equipment. Our goal with these new playgrounds is to add more and more inclusivity and adaptive pieces that fit the needs of our community. An inclusive playground takes away the physical and social barriers to prevent exclusion. There are opportunities for everyone to participate in play activity, no matter the ability or age. Some common features of inclusive playgrounds are boundaries such as a fence, landscaping, or berms, ramps to elevated play experiences, inclusive slides, ground level play, inclusive swings, wheelchair accessible equipment. Playground equipment is constantly changing, even within the past few years. There are more and more inclusive and adaptive equipment being made and patented literally every day. Our staff are always looking to bring new things to our community and continue to educate ourselves and others about how important it is that we are staying current and up to speed with the industry standards and trends for the good of the community. This is an aerial view of an inclusive playground. You can see many of the features discussed on the previous page. We have a perimeter fence, as well as other landscape features like shrubbery and berms to create a boundary. We have an orientation pathway around the equipment area. We have shaded shelter in a good position for observation, and an attenuated surface that uses changes in color to define play areas, but is level to improve access. On the right side of each of the following slides, you'll see a list of the major sensory systems that should be included in an inclusive playground. The first is visual, bright colors that help users to orient in the space, and shapes that create interest are important. Olfactory senses can be stimulated with sensory gardens. Musical equipment and play pieces that make noise help to develop auditory senses and can be adapted for users with any level of ability. Changes in texture, panels with movable pieces, and water features provide tactile stimulation. The body's vestibular system provides a sense of balance and can be stimulated with rocking, swinging, and spinning pieces. The proprioceptive system provides a sense of the body's position in space and can be stimulated with climbing and sliding activities. Providing space for respite, where a user can retreat to reduce their sensory input for a time and to observe others, is important too. As a playground is being planned, consideration is given to arranging play in zones. Often zones are designated by a particular color of surfacing or equipment to assist in orientation. Each zone is focused on providing play experiences that stimulate a particular sensory group. Like play features are grouped within that zone. Within a zone then, the position of play pieces is considered. In order to encourage parallel play opportunities between users of different abilities, pieces that provide opportunities for multiple levels of challenge are preferred. In addition to the zones described above, each play piece has a safety zone determined by the height and reach of that play piece. This is the area that should be clear around the piece of play equipment for safe use. Careful attention must be given to these zones when planning an inclusive playground to account for mobility devices and caregivers who may be required to move around the playground with the user. Now that we have an understanding of what inclusive play is and some of the principles of designing an inclusive playground, let's look at the proposed strategy for bringing inclusive play to the Lincoln community. In order to design inclusive playgrounds, all 7 senses should be considered. Those play pieces should also be designed to provide opportunities for users of all levels of ability and to have the room and capacity to allow adults to play alongside children. Imaginative and social play provide opportunities to pretend together. Physical development play provides levels of challenge to build strength and coordination. Risk awareness play allows users to solve problems and build confidence. And low-level intricate and undulating play provide ground-level stimulating play. Environmental features that provide support for the user as well as caregivers and families include family restrooms, drinking fountains, shady rest areas, and benches. Signage and visual cues for orienting to the playground, as well as providing information on the importance of various play experiences, are also important to consider. The first goal of the Lincoln Inclusive Play strategy is to provide inclusive play opportunities within 5 miles of every residence in Lincoln. The circles on the map to the right represent that 5-mile service area. These playgrounds would be phased to accommodate funding and future renovation. The first planned project will be a renovation of the playground at Mahoney Park in 2024. The second will be the renovation of Antelope Park for All Playgrounds, or Antelope Park Play for All Playground in 2026. In the future, the new playground at Jensen Park near 84th and Yankee Hill Road and a Northwest Community Park at a location not yet determined will be inclusive as well. These two playgrounds will be developed as growth continues in those parts of the city. The second goal is to renovate 5 existing neighborhood playgrounds that are adjacent to city recreational centers. These playgrounds will be able to take advantage of facilities such as parking lots and restrooms associated with recreation centers. The playgrounds will not be as large as the 4 planned on the previous slide, but will be larger than a typical neighborhood playground. Playground surfaces will be rubber matting, including under swings, and equipment would be inclusive. The playground in Irvingdale Park is part of the renovation of Irvingdale, Rudge, and Stransky Parks planned for 2022. The renovation of Easterday Playground and Park is planned for 2023. This park is adjacent to Easterday Rec Center, where the city's therapeutic recreation programs are held, and the design will include pieces to assist in that programming. Huskerville is a new park being constructed along with the new Air Park Recreation Center on Northwest 48th Street. This is anticipated to be constructed in 2023. Belmont Park Playground is adjacent to Belmont Elementary and the Belmont Recreation Center. This design will include play elements that complement those available in Belmont Park and elementary playgrounds and capitalize on the slope topography of the site. Finally, Henry Park Playground is adjacent to the Calvert Recreation Center and Calvert Elementary and is planned for renovation in 2025. The third goal of the inclusive play strategy is to continue to include adaptive and inclusive play features as new parks are constructed and as existing parks are renovated, and to ensure that our staff is up to date on advances in the inclusive play industry. Finally, the city would like to continue to work with the Inclusive Outdoor Play Working Committee, a group of parents, caretakers, and care professionals to receive guidance and input on priorities for inclusive play. Now let's look at the plan for Mahoney Park Playground. We started by looking at what is already in place at Mahoney Park. Mahoney Park is located between 70th and 84th Streets at about Fremont Street. The existing playground location is represented by the star on this map. There's an extensive looped walkway that is separate from but connected to Murdoch Trail and the 84th Street Trail, represented by the purple line. There's a restroom just east of the playground and parking located north, south, and east of the playground. There's also an existing picnic shelter. This is an aerial photo of the existing playground. The main play structure is about 12 years old and could be moved and repurposed here or at a different park. There is an existing swing set and tire swing that would be removed along with the sand. Benches, litter receptacles, spring riders, and a freestanding seesaw could be relocated. There are existing trees, many of which are small enough to be repositioned with a tree spade. This view shows the flat area around the existing playground, represented by the black dashed line, and the downward slope to the north. There's a drainage way between the playground and the tennis courts to the east. You can also see the existing walkways connecting to parking, restrooms, and the picnic shelter. The functional plan would take advantage of the existing concrete area and expand it to the west and north. A circular walkway would organize the play zones and serve as an orientation path. Play features would be organized in zones, and the existing slope would provide opportunities for ramping onto play structures or serve as a slope for a ground level slide. The area would be enclosed with a fence shown in red, and the entranceway feature would be located where the walkways join. The playground would be organized with a sheltered respite area and some smaller play equipment, including a water feature on an upper level, and then sloping down to additional equipment to the north. Bench swings, musical instruments, and fitness equipment would be located along the walkway. The current budget for one of these larger playgrounds is estimated to be about $800,000. As you can see from this figure, only about 1/3 of that budget is used to purchase play equipment. Grading, site preparation, and surfacing make up about half of the budget. Taking advantage of natural topography and concrete pads already in place help to keep costs down. This figure provides some examples of play features that are currently available on the market. The features are separated by zone, and a range of costs is shown. The design will work to get the most for the budget determined and to prioritize features that have the best play value. This figure and the functional diagram of the Mahoney Park Playground plan is available on the website. The strategy we just discussed will require additional funding, both for initial construction as well as repair and replacement and general maintenance costs. The Lincoln Parks and Recreation Department, in partnership with the Lincoln Parks Foundation, are working on a funding strategy to meet these needs. Currently, Parks and Recreation is proposing an additional $100,000 per year be budgeted for new inclusive playgrounds over the next 12 years. This $1.2 million would be matched by $2 million to be raised by the Lincoln Parks Foundation to meet the goal of 4 new parks at $800,000 each. For the 5 smaller parks, the typical renovation budget is about $70,000. Addition of inclusive features will double that cost to about $140,000 per playground. The base renovation costs are a part of the capital budget improvement program currently, but an additional $350,000 or about $70,000 per year will have to be identified over the next 5 years. The fundraising process, typically followed by the Lincoln Parks Foundation, begins after approval of the strategy by the Lincoln Parks and Recreation Advisory Board and Lincoln Parks Foundation Board. Once the strategy is approved, cost estimates are finalized and endowment needs are identified. A fundraising committee is assembled and trained and begins to develop fundraising campaign materials. Lists of potential donors are put together and initial contact is made with those individuals and organizations. A period of contact with potential funders and other fundraising activities begins, and once some funding is secured, it is often used as matching funds for grant applications. I'd like to thank you for your interest in this topic. The strategy document, which is available on the website, along with the functional plan for Mahoney Park, will be reviewed by the public between February 10th and March 10th. A virtual public open house will be held on February 24th at 6:30 p.m. via Zoom. The Parks and Recreation Advisory Board will review the documents on February 10th at a working session and will hold a meeting on March 10th to receive public comment. If they so choose, they may take action on March 10th. You may submit comments at any time on the website by emailing parks@lincoln.ne.gov or by sending your comments to the Parks and Recreation Department at 3131 O Street, Suite 300, Lincoln, Nebraska 68510. All comments will be shared with the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. Please check back to this web page periodically for updates and additional information. Thank you.